This is the console of a 2001 Saab 9.5 wagon. This car currently has a problem with the climate control system where one side appears to be working okay, the driver's side in this case, and the passenger side is basically stuck full on hot. One of the nice features of this model year Saab is that it has onboard diagnostics that are available right through the dashboard. So what we have to do first is start the car. And then we can currently press the auto and the off button to run the climate control diagnostics. I don't know if the video picks up the sound, but you can hear that there are some little things moving around underneath the dashboard somewhere. And it looks like we have two codes, 8 and 11. So we're going to go ahead and look those up next. And in the next section of this video, we will actually take a look at the problem area that the diagnostics points us towards. Okay, at this point, I have removed a few parts and have done a little bit more diagnostic work. Can't really show it all on screen because the engine has to be running and the car has a standard shift, so I just want to go ahead and review what we've done so far. We've gotten the glove box out, we've removed a couple of covers, and we've removed two of the stepper motors that control the door flaps that regulate where the air goes and what the temperature of the air will be once the car is running normally. So what you see in front of you are two of the stepper motors, both of which had to come out. The outer one is the one here on the left, and the inner one is this one on the right. And thanks to a website that I'll give credit for, it's called the Saab site. It has a lot of very useful information about these parts on the heater box. So let me just demonstrate for you that on this, the stepper motor really is tight and it does not easily turn when it's uninstalled off of the car. However, this one, which is the temperature regulator on the passenger side, turns very easily. And I believe that that is where the fault is. I have, while the car was running, I took a look at these parts up in here, and it's a little bit tricky to point out, but this part right here is one of the controllers operated by the good stepper motor, and I believe that that control, I'm not certain, but I think it controls whether the air is blowing up or down. That seems to be working just fine. But the other door right over here, and let me just reach in with it, it's the white one right here, that I believe is the temperature control, and when I move the door manually up and down with the engine running and some air blowing through it, lo and behold, I get hot or cold air. So the good news is I don't think anything inside the box itself is broken. I just have a failure of either the gear set or the stepper motor itself. And since I hear a noise when I try to change the temperature, I'm going to guess that there's possibly something messed up inside the gear set. So the next thing we're going to do is take a look at the problematic stepper motor and see if we can't figure out whether it's either the motor itself or possibly the gears. Okay, at this point I've removed the cover over here, and I've taken the stepper motor itself out of the gear set, and lo and behold, I've discovered that the gear on the end of the stepper motor is sticking way out to the point where it's actually coming off the end of the motor shaft right there. And if I lay them into place, it's a little bit hard to see on the video, but if you can make out the gears in there, the gears on the motor are past and on the very outside edge of the gears inside this gear set. So I'm going to press the gear down the shaft, get it to line up a little bit better, and see what we have. So far, so good. It looks like the gears were pushed out on that one stepper motor. I pushed them in and reassembled it, and it looks like at this point this thing is not easily turnable with my fingers anymore. So I think the gears are fully engaging, and it's probably going to fix the problem. While we're at this point, let me just stop and make a note of what it took to get to this point. I had to use a T20 Torx head bit to remove this handful of screws right over here. I used a Phillips head screwdriver and a 6mm socket to get at a handful of these screws here. In order to get to this point, I had to remove both of the stepper motors. One was on top of the other, so you can't just pull the bottom one out. And I also had to pull out the glove box. So let me just back up a bit. You'll see the glove box is out. The glove box is sitting beside the car. There's one cover underneath the glove box, and then another cover at the side of the hump between the two seats. And on the video, it's going to be a lot quicker than it is to actually go through it, because you obviously don't want to break anything and you take your time doing it. But of course, your results may also vary if this is not the same model year and make of car, or if somebody else has already done work on the car and perhaps lost a bunch of fasteners and changed the sizes of the screws and whatnot. So obviously your results may vary, but fortunately this car is a car that we've owned from new, and it has not been butchered on by a whole lot of really bad mechanics. So now we're going to go ahead and put together this side of the car, and we're going to run the self-diagnostic check and see how the actual climate control is functioning. Okay, we are now back at the console of the car, and we're going to go ahead and run the self-diagnostic on the dashboard one more time and see what it tells us. It takes about 20 to 30 seconds to run, and then it will tell us how many codes remain stored in the dash. Okay, you see it went from 2 with an 8 and 11 to 1 with just an 8. So we did indeed fix one of the problems. I do believe that that remaining code might be a similar problem on the other side of the heater box with the driver's side. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that next and see if we can't get all the codes cleared and have us ready for winter. So we now have the driver's side apart, and you can see that we have the stepper motor out. And the good news is this stepper motor appears to feel tight, and the gear set appears to move okay. The interior door also appears to be working okay inside the heater box, and all that's the good news. This is, I think, the clue to our second trouble code on the dash. The lever just fell out when I removed the cover right above the accelerator and brake pedals, and it looks like we're going to have to go ahead and get a replacement for this before we can put it back together. So what I'm probably going to do is, as a temporary measure, we'll put the motor back in, and we'll probably be driving the car for another couple of days before I can get the part. Okay, it has been about a week, and as you can see in front of us on the video, the Saab site has come through for us in a big way again. They sold us this really nice aluminum replacement part to repair the broken original part that dropped onto the floorboard when we went to investigate the problem. As you can see, it lines up very nicely, and although it's a little bit thicker, and the notch that appears on the small end of the original part apparently had on this replacement part as well, but it was pretty deliberately ground off before delivery. So I'm not exactly sure what that's about, but I'm still fairly confident that this is going to be a much better replacement part than the original ever was. So once again, thanks to the Saab site for providing us with a lot of help. In any case, at this point I would like to go ahead and just tell a little story about this project. As you know, when I started the video at the very beginning, I was definitely aware that I had a problem on the passenger side. However, I was somewhat surprised when, upon using the dashboard diagnostics, it came up with a trouble code for the driver's side. As it turns out, this little part is a stop for the stepper motor that operates the plastic door on the inside of the heater box. And had we ignored this problem, it is entirely possible that the stepper motor, operating the way it does, it tends to overextend the range of motion that is intended and can put unnecessary force on the plastic parts inside the heater box. And if it breaks in a certain way, it is not repairable from outside of the heater box, which would turn a 2-hour repair into about a 14 or more hour repair, removing the entire heater box and attempting to source internal parts for the heater box. So I'm very glad that we caught the problem at the point at which it was. This was about $26, I believe, and that really is well worth it in my opinion, being the difference between that and hundreds of dollars and dozens of hours of additional work. So at the next sequence, hopefully we are going to have everything installed and fitted, and we will see if we have in fact taken care of all of our trouble codes on the dashboard diagnostics. Here's hoping. Okay, everything's together, the car has been started, and we're going to run the dashboard diagnostics on the heater system one more time. And it looks like there are no error messages. So I think we have finally gotten the heater system ready for winter. Thanks for watching.